Good morning, sports fans. This beautiful Saturday, March the 10th, 2012. You're in the cheap seats, Josh Komnick, along with my guest that fills in for the furniture guy every once in a while, Mr. Tierney.
Hi guys, nice to be with you today.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for joining us here. We're from 5th Street out here on at the 5th Street Food Mart on 5th Street. Here all Saturday is a long day for 96.3 and WLCNonline.com out here at 5th Street Food Mart. Of course, the sports show, the Cheap Seat Sports Show, will go on from 9 to 10. And then you can join Jim from the Lincoln Country Morning Show, Jeff number 2 from the new Nighttime Fix 96, Lisa the 96 Fix 96 Prize Girl, and Cliff from 5th Street Food Mart from 10 to noon for the March Madness Party here at 5th Street Food Mart, located at 1302 5th Street in Lincoln. Great in-store specials, 16 flavor soft drink specials, and fantastic beer specials every day. Buy any instant or lottery ticket valued at $10 or more, and you'll automatically spin the March Madness prize wheel for cool prizes, and you'll qualify to win $50 Phillips 66 Premium Gas Card or a fabulous overnight jacuzzi suite stay at the beautiful Hampton Inn in Lincoln. And Jeff number 2 will have his Fix 96 prize vault in tow. That's all today from 10 to noon here at 5th Street Food Mart in Lincoln. So come out here all morning out here. There's a lot of things going on. Of course, one of the most happening places when you walk in, there's always a line out here at 5th Street.
Absolutely. And great service here as well.
No doubt Cliff and his crew do a great job here, and we're thanking him for having us out here. And Mr. Tierney, not only do we have, of course, the big news, I think, around here as far as locally, really locally, is Illini Central. We're going to talk about Illini Central Cougar basketball as they're in the state finals. They lost yesterday by 1 point on a heartbreaking loss. Excellent game, as you got to see. I believe most down in town is channel 49 for me. I don't know.
I'm
what
on
it is.
DirecTV, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure of that. But again, they're going to play today at 12. So the Illini Central Cougars will take on North Shore Country Day for the third place in Class 1A basketball. We've got, of course, the firing of Bruce Weber. We've got a lot of people, I think, that want to talk about that. Who will be the next guy at Illinois? We've got our, if you want to call it expertise, who we think might do it or who could do the job. Will they be that guy? Who knows? And there's a lot of things. Of course, March Madness, one of the reasons we're here for the March Madness kind of tip-off. Of course, the selection show is tomorrow. We've got all the basketball tournaments, Big Ten tournament, a surprise in the Big East tournament. Two of the maybe the people that or the teams that didn't think we're going to be there, Louisville and Cincinnati knocking off Syracuse. Of course, the Big 12, Kansas gets beat last night. Missouri is maybe walking themselves right into possibly a number 1 seed. So I want to talk with you about who your number 1 seeds are in the tournament, and just a lot of basketball. Probably the most fun year for me all year as far as basketball. You had the Lanphier Lions wearing the Raylor uniforms last night. We'll talk about that.
Pictures online of those today.
I was watching 20 News last night, and I'm clicking on, and they show a guy shooting number 2. I thought Max Cook was putting a layup in on Friday night, but then I'm looking at it, and no, we didn't do the radio. So we got a little to talk about Lanphier and why they were wearing the Raylor uniforms last night. So, Mr. Tierney, a lot of things going on in sports right now.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite times of the year as far as athletics go. You've got like you said, all these tournament basketball, playoff basketball is here. And it's only going to get better for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Spring training baseball kicking off really in full.
Huge NFL news. And Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning has.
See you later.
Well, you think so?
In Indianapolis, anyway.
Well, yeah, in Indy, no doubt. Where he goes, who knows? A lot of teams interested in him. Of course, not my Bears, so I'm not really worried about where he goes right now. Adam Wainwright gets his first start for you Cardinal fans and looked pretty strong. So a lot of things. And Mr. Tierney, let's get right to that game yesterday between the Cougars and Carrollton. Carrollton highly ranked all year. I think they came into the game yesterday 29-4. They beat the Illini Central Cougars 45-44. Illini Central was 17-12 coming into the game. Now they're 17-13. From what I didn't get a chance to see the game, but from what I read, basically a great game. Carrollton got up on them. Illini Central came back, had a lead with a couple minutes left, and then it looked like a tic-tac foul, if you want to call that. I saw. Illini Central got called. A guy steps up with 10 seconds left. He knocks down 2 free throws for Carrollton. They go up by 1, and Alliance Central's bringing the ball down on a full-speed dribble and loses it to Carrollton. They dribble out the clock, and wow, what a tough loss to 1 point in the game to go to the state championship.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. We would have loved to see a local team over there right on the Logan County border get the victory, but I don't think you can really take anything away from the postseason run they've had. They were a team that, I didn't really see them play all year, but I talked to some people that I do know who saw them play, and, I always kind of heard some, good reports, but I think they, it wasn't a team that anybody said, oh, they'll be in Peoria.
Right.
Just shrug your shoulders. Yeah, you'll see them in Peoria. They really made a heck of a run to knock off, a really good Sangamon Valley team. I think that was their big upset. And then, the bracket kind of broke their way, and they won their sectional championship and super sectional game by like 15 points. So the one thing I can tell you about Illini Central, and that I do know for certain, is that they have an excellent coach over there. John Giesler does a great job. He's a very fun guy. The kids love him, but he knows how to, at the same time, push them to their max, get the most out of them. They've always been a very run and gun. They love to press, and they love to shoot threes. They're a fun team to watch, and I'm sure they're going to be a fun team to watch today in that third place game. I wouldn't want to play Coach Giesler, today. He'll have his group ready to go.
Yeah, as you said, again, Carrollton 45, Illini Central 44. Illini Central will play at 12 o'clock today in the third place game of the 1A state basketball tournament. Carrollton, they're playing North Shore Country Day. Carrollton will play the championship game at 2 o'clock against Woodlawn. Coonrod, the kid that hit the 2 free throws, led Carrollton yesterday with 15 points and 11 boards.
Now, I think the Coonrod, I don't know if it's him or his brother, but one of them's going to Carbondale for baseball.
Okay.
So I know that the Coonrod name is a big
name in Carrollton.
A big athletic name in Carrollton.
Well, I tell you that, and some things I read on Carrollton, they just won the baseball championship in 1A. So in last June. So what a thing I remember from Maroa Forsyth doing this a couple years ago in football and basketball.
Yep, absolutely.
Now Carrollton could do this in baseball and basketball, which as you say, you get a couple of special athletes in a 1A school, and they can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Jared Entwistle led the Cougars with 15. Jordan Bradshaw had 10, and Illini Central had won 9 straight, and that's really what you talked about, is that run that they had leading up. They started out the season 3-10.
Yep, they played some really tough teams, some 3A and maybe even a 4A squad. They went to the Canton Thanksgiving tournament, I believe, and played Canton, and then I think Chicago Carmel and Chicago Marshall were there, and they they took it on the chin against those teams, but it really prepared them for down the stretch. The other thing that you got to keep in mind about Illini Central is I believe they only have 1 senior.
Nice.
And so they will be a force, you'd have to think, next year with all this experience. And they've got some real players over there. Jordan Bradshaw and Mr. Entwistle, I hear, can really shoot it. So
you got a big kid at 6'4".
Yeah, they can really play. So I think they're going to be a fun team to watch next year going forward. They're going to bring a lot of talent back.
First time they've ever been to the state finals, being a consolidated school with San Jose, Easton, and of course Mason City. Mason City did go to the state finals in Champaign in 1978 and lost to eventual state champion Nashville in the quarterfinals. So I saw some things in the paper, pictures. They had a great send-off, a great pep rally, and it looked like, from what I saw of the game after them, and I got to catch a little bit of that Illini Central had a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sure there's going to be a heck of a parade route on 136 or Route 29 or something out there on those country roads out north of Logan County and west of Logan County. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun to be had tomorrow when the boys get back, and they're going to have a trophy and they're going to have a banner. So there's no shame in losing a semifinal. I'm sure they would have preferred to win, but they've had a great run, and they're going to be right back in the mix next year, I expect.
Well, as you said, it's nice for a really local team to bring back some hardware.
Sure.
And they will definitely do that. Hopefully they can bring back the third place instead of the fourth place trophy today, which, again, 12 o'clock, the Cougars from Illini Central will play. So fire that up on your tube and check out those guys. Hopefully bring home some local hardware. Also, from, I guess, Central State Aid interest, really the only team left is Lanphier. They've been ranked number 1 throughout the season at times. They played in Lincoln last night but they were wearing green uniforms. And I'll give you the score: Lanphier 88, Champaign Central 62. So I was reading the box score in this. I think 5 players in double figures for Lanphier, another one with 8. They scored at 20 points or more in every quarter. They just had things rolling in Champaign Central. They gave a little bit of a run, but once they got going, Lanphier, as you've seen them this year, they're hard to stop if you let these guys run. But they're wearing the green Railer uniforms last night, and again, I see watching this on the news last night, and I'm thinking, well, they're throwing the wrong clip because we've got the Lincoln green is on, but Lanphier brings the wrong uniforms. From what I have gathered, read, and talked to some people, both teams brought white uniforms, and on the bracket, if you look at the bracket, Champaign Central was the higher team on the bracket, so the higher team on the bracket
gets home.
Gets the home team. Well, Lanphier and Champaign Central both bring the white uniforms.
Whoops.
So now they've got to wear the green Railer uniforms last night.
I would have loved to have seen whoever they had to ask for the Lincoln uniforms, Sam Knox or probably Coach Alexander. Right. Can we borrow your uniforms? I would have loved to have seen that. I'm sure that, of course, Lincoln High School people, they're great people out there, were more than willing to help out, but I mean, I saw that too last night, and I had heard on some message boards and things like that, some people saying, "Oh, Lanphier's actually wearing Lincoln's uniforms." I'm thinking, what? And it's funnier even to see the pictures. You see Mr. Larry Austin in the front page of the State Journal Register wearing a Lincoln uniform. Right. It's kind of like,
boy, we'd like to see that again.
We'd be okay with that. Yeah, he can wear them again if he wants.
How can happen for the next 2 years would be, or maybe he can just keep that uni.
Yeah,
and I'm sure we could loan that to him for a couple of years. But I get to it, and I listen to the remarks on TV last night, and I read the paper today that they're a little mad about having to wear Lincoln's uniforms. So what'd you want to do? You guys were the ones that forgot the uniform. Did you just not want to wear a shirt? Did you want to forfeit? Those kind of things, and it was surprising to me that they were mad about having to wear a Lincoln uniform when they were the ones that screwed up.
Certainly there's no love lost between Lanphier and Lincoln, so I'm sure that would be like me putting on a Cardinal uniform, I'm sure, for some of those Lanphier kids. So
was it a technical to start the game, do you know?
I don't know. I'm not sure, and I'm really not sure it would have mattered. Lanphier is
I don't think
so good. I mean, they're kind of in the 2 games I saw them, they're kind of an accrued taste. You don't watch Lanphier the first time and go, oh, this is a state championship team, but they just have athletes for days. They just wear you out, and they're going to be a very tough matchup. I'm not sure who.
East St. Louis Tuesday night at the Prairie Capital Convention Center. And I watched East St. Louis when we were down in
That will be a ball game.
And you talk about athletes going against athletes.
Oh, man.
There is good athletes at East St. Louis as there is at Lanphier, and that game will be up and down.
Well, what do you think the over-under for that is? About 140, 150?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of points scored.
Yeah, for sure.
But the thing is, when I watched East St. Louis, they have a big kid, about 6'7", 6'6", 240, that I think will really give Lanphier some problems because East St. Louis can run with Lanphier, and when you throw a team that can run like Central did against Lanphier, and you throw a big kid in the mix with that, and it spells trouble for Lanphier because they don't have a very big guy.
Yeah, I think Lanphier, even we saw Lincoln, and Lincoln's traditionally with that 1-2-2 zone is not the best rebounding team, but we saw Lincoln rebound pretty well against Lanphier. Right. That'll be, I think the game will be won and lost on the boards, and I mean, you're telling me there's a 6'6" kid, not just a 6'6" kid, but a 6'6" beast, a big boy.
And they've got a Munson kid who's
I knew about
highly
him.
Junior that's been recruited by a lot of big schools.
I think he's a football player as well.
Football guy. He's a great athlete. I watched him play. He's not a great basketball player, but, man, when they throw it up on the board, they go get it.
That'll be where that game is probably won and lost. Of course, it's played in Springfield, so
that's a big thing.
Could be a big home court advantage there at the Prairie Capital Convention Center for the Lions. And, I mean, I'll be rooting for the Lions. Honestly, you want to see the Central State 8 well represented. In my conversations with Coach Shanklin when I was a reporter, he was a great, nice guy. Always had a lot of respect for Lincoln. It's a rivalry for sure. But I think I would love to see Lanphier go there and make a run.
It'd be a good game. Prairie Capital Convention Center 7:30. Lanphier takes on East St. Louis. You want to watch some athletes, go check those guys out. Hey, Justin, we got to take a quick break, but next up, we want phone calls. We want to know your thoughts on Bruce Weber 737-3791. Was the firing right? Who are we going to hire? All that kind of stuff coming up after the break. We're out here at Fifth Street Food Mart. Cheap Seats, 96.3 FM and WLCN online. Here in Lincoln, Illinois. This Saturday, March the 10th, 2012, as Josh Komnick along with Justin Tierney, as we get ready for Championship Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely.
Bracketology is coming to an end. Sunday selection show. We're out here for the March Madness. Join Jim from the Lincoln Country Morning Show, Jeff number 2 from the new Nighttime Fix 96, Lisa the Fix 96 Prize Girl, and Cliff from Fifth Street Food Mart from 10 to noon for the March Madness party here at Fifth Street Food Mart, located at 1302 Fifth Street in Lincoln. Great in-store specials, 16 flavor soft drink specials, and fantastic beer specials every day. Buy any instant or lottery ticket valued at $10 or more, and you'll automatically spin the March Madness prize wheel for cool prizes, and you'll qualify to win a $50 Phillips 66 Premium Gas Card or a fabulous overnight jacuzzi suite stay at the beautiful Hampton Inn in Lincoln. And Jeff number 2 will have his Fix 96 prize vault in tow. That's today from 10 to noon here at the Fifth Street Food Mart in Lincoln. We'll be here for at least till 10 o'clock, hanging out with you, talking some basketball. And, of course, after we get talked Illini Central Cougar basketball here, a little Lanphier wearing the Railer uniform basketball in the first 15, 20 minutes. Now we've got Bruce Weber. Let us hear from you guys, the listeners. Call in. Give us a call, 737-3791. Let us know, did this whole thing go down? You heard talks of from Tom Izzo saying this was not handled the way it should have been.
Yep.
He was really, really mad about this.
He was fired up.
Not only, he said, as a friend of Bruce Weber, but professionally to the kids. When you were letting these kids know in January, basically, that Weber is probably on his way out, you saw the downhill slide.
Yep.
Of course, Weber fired as a head coach, I think, 9 seasons, Justin? 9 seasons as the Illinois coach. Now, Jerrance Howard is named the interim coach.
Yep.
And they will accept a bid. I saw both interviews with the AD, Mr. Thomas, and also Bruce. I watched it. Anybody wants to watch it, it's on IllinoisLoyalty.com. Pretty good interviews. Of course, Bruce looked like he's just a beaten man.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. Not that I didn't think that it needed to be done, but you never want to see this happen.
I mean, if Bruce Weber, wanted to coach, my kid, I'd be fine with that. He seems like a great guy, but, he said it himself in the press conference. He's in a results, bottom line business. And,
no doubt.
The bottom line for Bruce at Illinois was just that they had not been getting it done. At Illinois, you can't miss the NCAA tournament 3 times in 5 years. Right. Just can't happen. Just can't be done. We are a program that has a lot of pride and a lot of prestige, and I'm okay with it. I feel for Bruce Weber because he seems like a nice guy, and he's a pretty decent coach. I think he's proven that. To get anybody to the national championship game,
sure.
You got to be a pretty decent coach, and it's there's part of me that thinks it's unfortunate. It's a little bummed about it. I certainly empathize with what Tom Izzo was saying. The AD didn't do Bruce Weber any favors by coming out on the radio in Champaign and saying, well, we'll evaluate Coach Weber at the end of the year. Didn't give the quote-unquote vote of confidence at that time. So, but like Bruce said, it's bottom line business. He didn't get it done. He's had multiple chances and didn't get it done, and I'm excited for some new life in the program.
We'll see what happens
some
next.
New blood.
Hey, Justin, we got a caller. Caller, go ahead. You're in the cheap seats. Thanks for giving us a call. What do you want to talk about, Bruce?
This has to do with Weber, but who is the AD's boss?
Well, from what I gathered last night on the press conference, and I know you watched it too online, Justin, that he pretty much answers to the chancellor.
I think the chancellor and the president, but I would imagine that in kind of the unofficial way, his boss are the boosters. Is what I'm guessing. That who his boss is some of the University of Illinois basketball boosters. So I'm sure that's who he has to answer to, almost more than any administrator at the university.
I wouldn't want his job.
No.
If I had to come in and fire all the coaches at the school.
That's true.
Yeah.
You can see if you watch the Mike Thomas press conference online, you can see that he's not up there smiling and happy to get rid of Bruce Weber. You can tell that it's difficult, and I'm sure it is.
One comment.
Sure.
If they're going to recruit out of Chicago, they better find them an awful good defensive coach, because them kids aren't taught defense. They just outscore the other team. That's the way it's been for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Thanks for calling in, and I agree with you. I think you do have to find a coach who can push some of the athletes to their max, and really relate. And that might have been an area where I think Bruce Weber struggled. He's pretty old school, and
I don't think he changes much with talent. There's different talent that comes along. Of course, when he started, he had 4 guys that were NBA guys. You had Powell,
absolutely.
Augustine, D. Brown, and Darren Williams, who's one of the best point guards in the league right now. But I think what happens with problem with Bruce is he doesn't move well with change. Right now, his offense doesn't work with the teams we have now. His offense worked with those guys because they could get their own shot, they could get to the basket,
and they were good shooters.
But you've got to adapt, and I don't think in the last 3 years Bruce did a good job of adapting to his talent. He's got a Myers Leonard. You've got to find a way to get him the basketball more. The guy's got to touch the ball.
The offense had to run
every other time
Myers-Leonard,
down the
and
court,
it just didn't
at least.
Year. Yeah.
And I think that was maybe the knock for me, is that we didn't improve in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't think DJ Richardson has improved since his freshman year.
He was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, and he's gone from that to being one of the best players in his class, and now he's not an All-Big Ten player. I mean, he's probably the 3rd or 4th best player on his own team.
Going back to what the caller kind of said, I don't know that I would want this Mr. Thomas's job either. Hired in August, he's already fired 3 of his highest-paid coaches with Weber's $3.9 million buyout. He's got to pay him regardless of whether he lands another job in the next 2 years or not. That's going to Bruce Weber, no doubt about it. He'll pay $7.1 million in buyouts. And just this year, including he had 2.6 with Mr. Zook, and $620,000 to the former basketball coach Jolette Law to the women's side. So not only does he have to find all these jobs, but he's got to pay out a lot of money. And as you said, I think the boosters, of course, pull in that. They talked about, was this one of the big reasons why? Because the attendance was down. He thinks a little bit of it was, he got pushed because the attendance was down. That's not normal. I mean, I used to go to games just out of high school and stuff where you couldn't get a seat for the game against St. Bonaventure. I mean, let alone in Indiana or Ohio State or something like that. So, yes, there's no doubt things slipped away as Bruce furthered his career at Illinois.
Yeah, and I think the message that we're getting from Mike Thomas as the athletic director is, we're expected to win, period. You see that.
And he wants to win.
Yeah, he's definitely all about winning, and at that level of athletics, that's the reality. That's just the way it is in the Big Ten, and I hate to see Bruce Weber go in many ways. I think, like I said, he's a good guy, but I'm a little bit, I guess, not happy isn't the word, but I'm a little bit excited that Illinois he's going to hold these coaches to a great high standard. He expects to win and be at a championship level. That's what he says.
I will be
most
excited when I find out who they will hire. I'm not excited about some guys that we'll talk about, and I want to hold that off in just a little bit on who maybe some people think that the Illini might hire. And if you've got a thought, give us a call, 737-3791. Bruce Weber, final record, 210 wins, 101 losses overall, 89-65 in the Big Ten. NCAA tournament appearances record, he was 9-6. Of course, most of those wins were that that magical
8-4
season
in 1 year.
Yeah,
8-4 his first 3 years.
That magical season that we went all the way to the championship, and I'll never forget that as long as I live. A great time to be an Illini fan. But again, Weber fired after 10 years at the Illini, and the search is out. And Mr. Thomas said it's going to start now.
Yeah,
the search starts now.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Bruce Weber's Big Ten record, and one of the things that really kind of put this whole thing in perspective for me is if you look at his record, they call it AD after D. Brown in the Big Ten. It's below 500 in the Big Ten, and that I think is indicative of. I mean, he's had 5 or 6 years now since he's been gone, since after the D. Brown era.
Yeah,
and you just can't. I mean, you just can't have that.
I'll tell you one thing. With Lon Kruger, I'm talking about Brian was there a year or two before Brian. We were a shoe-in for that championship in the Big Ten tournament for about, I'm going to say 5 to 6, 7 years every year. If we didn't win it, we were playing in the championship game, no question.
Yeah, and you look around the conference and you think of the teams that have kind of passed us in a sense in the Bruce Weber era. Ohio State's clearly past us. Indiana is trending upwards as we're kind of trending
back.
down. We've taken a step
Michigan.
back. Purdue and Michigan have both come a long way in the last 3 or 4 years under their new coaches. And so, Wisconsin is consistently now going to be a team that's going to battle for, a top 3 spot in that conference. And so, it's a big boys league.
Yeah.
It's a big boys league. You look at the coaches around the Big Ten, and you got some great
about as
coaches.
good as it gets.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, we're going to take another quick commercial break. We're out here at Fifth Street Food Mart, but next up, we're going to get to our thoughts, and then I want to hear your thoughts on also who the Illini have in store, or who you have in store, or would like to see roaming the sideline at Champaign next year. We're out here at Fifth Street Food Mart, 96.3 FM and WLCN online.com.